Spies, I think, yep. And then Mad Max, then Room, and then Spotlight. All right.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Editing the Academy. I'm Darryl.
I'm Laura.
And
For those that are watching, you can notice we have a special guest here today. Say hello.
Hey, my name's Alex.
Alex is going to help us talk about some of the movies with us. It's always nice to have a new perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
All right, let's do the clap. Beautiful.
Okay.
All right, so when we start off the year, we always do the other notables that were there. But before we do that, what are the ones we're here to talk about today?
All right, so this is the 2016 Best Picture nominees for movies released in 2015. And the four we're talking about today are Bridge of Spies, Mad Max Fury Road, Room, and Spotlight.
All right, other notables released that year. Star Wars, The Force Awakens, Jurassic World, Furious 7, Age of Ultron, Minions, The Hateful Eight, The Danish Girl, Steve Jobs, Joy, so the first time he was not nominated for Best Picture, Mr. Right, one of my favorites, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., one of your favorites,
Totally.
The Knight of Cups, Sicario, Crimson Peak, Burnt, Focus, The Walk, Black Mass, Creed, and The Lobster. So out of all of those, and you both can guess, what are the top five for the year by global numbers?
Force Awakens.
It was number one, 2.068 billion.
Jurassic World.
That was number two, 1.6 billion.
I forgot that you did.
I was going to say, what the first five, I was thinking
Yeah, you
that
had
it might
Blockbuster.
be.
It was kind of front loaded.
What was the third one that you listed?
Jurassic, Force Awakens, Jurassic World, Furious 7.
No.
Probably not. Maybe.
Age of Ultron.
Yes.
Age of Ultron.
That was number four, 1.4 billion.
Okay.
Any other guesses?
Minions?
Minions was number five,
Okay,
1.1 billion.
So then I'm going to say Furious 7.
Was number two, 1.5
wow.
billion.
Okay, yeah,
Well
that's-
done.
Because those movies make so much money
Yeah.
internationally.
That's
And
true.
I was super lazy. I just put them in order.
Well, that's why
that's
when you
good.
were reading the first one, so I'm like, okay, those all sound like
Yeah.
major hits.
Yeah, totally.
All right. We're not going to talk about any of those, though. Let's dive into the first part, part one, 2016, with Bridge of Spies. Bridge of Spies was directed and co-produced by Steven Spielberg, written by Mark Charman and the Coen brothers, which I did not know. Stars Tom Hanks, Mark Rylance, Amy Ryan, Alan Alda, a bunch of other people, but those are the big ones. Was nominated for Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, Original Screenplay, Original Score, Production and Design, Best Sound Mixing, and it did win Mark his Oscar for supporting. Go some stuff.
All right, so the summary is, during the Cold War, an American lawyer is recruited to defend an arrested Soviet spy in court, and then help the CIA facilitate an exchange of the spy for the Soviet-captured U.S.-American U-2 spy plane pilot, Francis Gary Powers.
It's accurate.
It's as convoluted as maybe the movie was.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
All right, so here's a couple of fun facts. In order to shoot the 6 days that they shot on the bridge, it took 5 months, $11,000, and permits from 23 different agencies.
Wow.
To do those 6 days of shooting. So interesting.
That is interesting.
Is that the former Checkpoint Charlie, or did they have to?
So not the Checkpoint
Where
Charlie,
they
but the
exchange
bridge.
the hostages?
Yeah, yeah. I have no idea. It could
Okay.
be.
But it's the real place.
It is a real
Between
place.
the two.
And then the only other thing I had was Pryor, who was the student. He was kind of upset that Spielberg never contacted him. No one ever contacted him for this movie. And so he said, you know, it was a nice movie, but it had nothing to do with him.
Wow.
Huh.
It's coming out swinging.
Do
Exactly.
you think it was historically inaccurate depiction of him, or?
Well, apparently
'Cause
they
he is kind of incidental to the movie.
said, well, he was definitely there and he was definitely part of the trade, but he apparently wasn't going back for his girlfriend. He
Oh, they
had
created this
uncovered
whole narrative.
some economic, economic information that they didn't want uncovered.
Okay.
And so he
Oh.
wasn't a spy, but he found some classified information.
Okay, well that changes everything.
Yeah.
Because he's just this naive that for some reason Tom Hanks he's not gonna let them go. You know, it's like, I need Pryor. Like they'll keep making these deals and he's like, doesn't happen without Pryor.
We talk about that a lot, the historical accuracies of a movie versus the movie itself.
Oh yeah.
And so we always try to focus on just what the movie is, unless it's so glaring like JFK or something like that.
But I think from a plot standpoint, though, it makes the movie kind of weaker. Because I don't buy that Tom Hanks cares this much about that kid.
Oh, see, I disagree. I
Yeah.
think that he's Tom Hanks and they want us to, and it's Steven
I
Spielberg.
know that we're just supposed to like accept it,
And we're supposed to just accept it.
but
Because he's
I
a good guy.
and I kind of get that, but I also don't care.
There's
So
a
much.
lot with this movie that this movie takes big swings for and misses entirely.
Yeah, it feels that way.
I think the only reason, personally, and I'll just come right out swinging, is the only reason this movie was nominated was because it was Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg.
Absolutely.
100%.
This is not a quality movie. It's super slow when it really shouldn't be. They try to speed up the act and make it a little bit actiony in places where action is not necessary at
Yeah,
all.
it's awkward.
It just misses and doesn't hit on every level that it tried to do, which is sad because it's Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks.
Right.
You figure, and all of this is, I just put down 100% to the writing and the way they were telling the story that they were telling. It could have been so much more tense, so much deeper, richer, and they just fail.
That's
all over the place.
exactly what it's missing. It's like the tension. There's so many opportunities for suspense and tension,
Yeah.
and it just kind of plays it straight, both with the acting and with the cinematography.
I just
And,
felt
like-
it was boring and we'd seen it all before.
Yeah.
It's very flat historical cinema.
One of the things that I think was a missed opportunity was to play up whether or not this person was actually a spy in the beginning. And they don't. It's just
He's a spy.
nobody seems to care except for the people that are gunning for him, and it's just assumed on every level. They don't tease it. They don't play with it. In fact, throughout the entire thing, he says, "Why didn't you ever ask me if I was a spy at all?" Like, that question is never asked, and that would have been good for an audience to kind of dig into that tension a little bit to get more invested. If nobody's questioning, if we're not being teased with whether he is or not, why the hell am I going to care about this guy?
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I think my theory is, for the screenplay, the main dude, who's not the Coen brothers,
Yeah.
basically kind of wrote a dry historical account of what happened, dramatized it a little, and then the Coens rewrote the dialogue. Because
Possibly, yeah.
I didn't know that it was a Coen co-write. When I was watching it, I was like, this seems like Diet Coen Brothers. Like it had their cadence and it had their voice, but it was sort of watered down and not as snappy. And then the credits rolled, and I was like, oh, it was co-written by the Coen Brothers.
I thought it just tried to do too much and didn't succeed with any of it. So,
Yeah,
like, it
also
didn't.
true.
When I watched it again, I had forgotten. I thought it was more of a courtroom drama than it was, and it wasn't a courtroom drama. I thought that, they brought in the associate who you think is going to be important, who's apparently dating his daughter, and then never mentioned again.
Yeah, yeah.
Except for how old he was. And then the shooting through the windows.
It's going to be that kind of movie, right? It's going to be
Exactly.
like a man stands up for the truth
Exactly.
in the
And then
American way, and then it devolves into this
people
other
are shooting
thing.
through the windows,
Yeah.
and then he comes back and the police are gone and everybody's all happy. So like,
Never speak of it again.
It didn't follow through on anything.
Yeah.
There are very few moments in this that are actually good juxtaposition moments. One of them I thought that they did well, and credit where it's due, when he's in Germany on the other side, and he's on the train, and as the train goes through, you see people try to escape.
Yeah,
climbing,
they're getting
and
shot
and
at.
they get shot.
Yeah.
Cut to later when he's back home riding the train, very similar, but he's in a nice American suburb and there are kids playing everywhere. So it was a good juxtaposition to show the different types of worlds, but that was one of the very few positive moments in the
Yeah.
whole film. Like moments like that, if they had done more of that, dive deeper, give us a richer world, a better environment, more caring for the characters,
Yeah.
I think this would have been an excellent little spy movie. But it didn't try to be a spy movie. It didn't try not to be a spy movie. I don't know.
The only thing that I found really positive about it was Mark Rylance and his performance.
great,
I
yeah.
really loved him.
He
I
did
thought
a
he was
great
the
job.
highlight. Yeah.
And he definitely deserved to be nominated. Whether he deserved the Oscar or not, I'm not sure.
Who else was he up against?
I don't know.
So I remember on
There
the
was someone
night,
better.
it was Mark Ruffalo from Spotlight that they
Oh.
thought might get it. And when they announced Mark, both of them stood.
Ah.
Oh,
So,
that was
yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
He was in a movie like a year or two ago where he plays the tailor for like a mob environment. I can't remember the title of it, but he was amazing.
He's great.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
just a lot of fun. Anyway, I don't have a lot with this movie. It's just a lot of missed opportunities and poor writing.
Yeah, it was structurally kind of a mess. It's about 8 movies fighting for your attention, which is so not Spielberg. Like, Spielberg is this like clean, elegant, organized storyteller, and he's got the Coen brothers on his side. But I think that they did punch-ups. I don't think that they had anything to do with the plotting. I think they came in and doctored the dialogue a little bit.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, for me, it was the worst thing that a spy thriller could be, which was boring.
Yeah.
Not thrilling?
Yes, not thrilling at all.
Yeah.
The whole thing with the development of the spy program from the American side and talking through all of that, and then eventually the spy on the very first mission getting caught, like that was a lot of buildup and no real payoff.
Ooh, they really didn't do a good job making you care about the American side of things.
That's a good point.
Because then, like, you get through the like TV drama kind of like a man standing up for the truth against these ignorant rubes in his hometown, and then you go to the American side of things. The guys like doing their training and being like, if you get caught, scratch yourself with the cyanide needle, and it doesn't really develop that. And both of the American guys are super underdeveloped.
Yeah, that whole plot line is just it's almost irrelevant, except for the fact that of course we need the trade at the end, but that's it.
You could have just been like, here are these guys.
Yeah, it could have been something that they talk it like courtroom drama. They're talking about it. We don't actually have to see it,
Right?
Because seeing it takes away from the overall story that I think was being told.
Totally.
Personally. Anyway, big old mess. All right, let's move on to Mad Max Fury Road, co-written, co-produced, and directed by George Miller. Collaborated with Brendan McCarthy and Nico Lotharius on the screenplay. Stars Tom Hardy, Charlize Theron, Nicholas Hoult, Hughes Case-Byrne, Rose Huntington, Whiteley, Riley Keough, Zoe Kravitz, Abby Lee, and Courtney Eaton. Nominated for a ton of stuff: picture, director, cinematography, costume design, film editing, best makeup and hair, production design, sound editing, sound mixing, visual effects. It won pretty much all of the technical awards. Costume design, film editing, makeup, production, sound editing, sound mixing, all of which I think it absolutely deserves.
All right, summary. In a post-apocalyptic wasteland, a woman rebels against a tyrannical ruler in search for her homeland, and with the aid of a group of female prisoners, a psychotic worshiper, and a drifter named Max.
Straightforward.
So fun fact, so I think everybody knows there was a lot of tension behind the scenes of this movie. So I'm not gonna go into a huge amount of detail, but basically, Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy did not get along very, very famously. George Miller also did not get along with Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy eventually apologized to George Miller, and Charlize and Tom both said that they probably could have handled things better. But basically, she felt threatened on the set and had to actually ask for protection from Tom Hardy on the set, and which they gave her. So it was bad, just bad.
Yeah.
Getting something more positive is, almost 80% of the effects in this movie are practical effects. Almost all of the CGI is just about erasing out her arm and any of the rigging so that they couldn't see how the stunts were being protected.
Right.
Everything else was pretty much on point in the moment.
And that is George Miller. He spent a long time perfecting these kind of stunts, so absolutely. All right, I'm going to come out with a lot of love. But before I do, I'm going to give you a quick fascinating fact. When they was filming the second Mad Max movie, that long chase sequence at the end, while he was in the middle of that, he's like, I just want to make an entire movie that is one long chase sequence. This was so much fun. This is what I want to do. And it took him this long to be able to write it and get to it. Because that's all this movie is. It's get out and then come back. And that's it. One long chase sequence. And it's freaking awesome.
How do you really feel about it?
We've talked about this a lot on this. Sometimes simple is so incredible because you don't have to complicate things. This is a very simply told story, and the thing that drives it is the simplicity of the story and all of the stuff that is happening. This is an action-driven movie 100%. It does not shy away. It embraces fully what it wants to be and what it is. We talk about that a lot here as well. When a movie knows exactly what it wants to be and embraces what it is, 99% of the time, it's going to be great.
Fair.
So coming out with a lot of love.
All right, sounds good. You want to?
I'll go last. I actually have surprisingly little to say about this one.
right.
I think everything in this movie is on screen. The fact that it's nominated is wonderful. I think it is a pure, excellent work of art. And objectively probably should have won. I don't know. You guys talk about that
Down the road.
down the road, but I'd rather live in a world where this won. It's not like my favorite movie of all time by any means, but it's objectively a great movie.
Same. I mean, I don't know that there is a ton to talk about. It is.
Really is.
It is a chase scene. It is gorgeously shot. Like the only thing that's bad about it is good about it, which is it is entirely tension all the way around.
Yeah.
There is no rest. There is no stopping. It's ratcheting up the tension just constantly through. Like you get a breath here and there, but very little. You don't learn that much about each character, and you don't have to. You learn exactly as much as you need to. Like, where'd you lose your arm? Who cares? You don't need to know.
Exactly.
Yes,
And
yeah.
in a world of like the post-midi-chlorians exposition where everybody's...
I don't know any of that word.
Star Wars.
That's
Okay.
just the idea that the Star Wars series started explaining its conceits.
Okay.
This is a movie where like, no, they just get on this crazy car and they spray paint their faces silver and
Yes.
there's a guy with a guitar. And it's like, you don't need to know why. They'll probably make a movie about all those people at some point. You know, they made the Furiosa movie. But it is the anti kind of like Marvel universification of narrative. Where it's like, nope, this is just what's on screen.
You don't have to explain every single. No one needs a original kind of character development moment. It is just who they are.
Yes.
So yeah, I think it's just like all constantly going up the roller coaster, and I was along for the ride, and I enjoyed it, and I loved it, and it was very cool. I'm so pleased the costumes and hair won because it was incredibly well developed. It had to. It was incredibly well developed and unique. And that's the thing about this movie, very, very unique.
Yeah.
The only negative, sometimes again with simple stories, when you have some form of transformation, if the story is so simple and we're not getting a lot of backstory, then you can kind of question why something would happen. Take the war boy, Nicholas Holt's character, who initially goes out to impress everybody, he's going to capture them, and then once he gets there, very quickly is like, oh, women, I like women. Okay, so I'm going to be on your side now. Like, that was super quick for me. But again, ultimately, it doesn't matter. He was there, now he's here. It's okay, you roll with it. I would have liked a little bit of maybe a moment here or there to understand his transformation. But again, wasn't 100% necessary.
Yeah, fair. And the only other thing too is its title may not be appropriate because this is not Mad Max's movie. This is Furiosa's movie.
Yeah.
So
Right.
it's in the Mad Max universe, so you want to title it that, but it's not about Mad Max. It really isn't. He is just a kind of sideline character.
Branding is important.
It's important for the branding, and it's important for what his character and background bring to the movie, but you don't need, it could have been about her and her journey.
Yes, 100%.
And it really was. But other than so I was looking at the women who they were transporting. So, Riley Keough and Zoe Kravitz, obviously from, star families. I wondered if the other women were also from star families or if that was on purpose.
I didn't get a chance to rewatch this one, so and I famously kind of don't really clock the casts in movies. I'm just like, these are the characters. And that was a movie
Not
where I
who they're
absolutely
playing.
was not thinking about who was playing who.
I was curious if they purposely cast Elvis's granddaughter and Kravitz's daughter, and who else might have been in that mix.
Oh, like maybe there was a musical tied to it, so
yeah.
all the other girls were
Yeah.
okay. All right,
But
that would have been interesting.
It would have
if
been
that's
interesting.
true.
I could not dig up any background on the others, but then again, don't know.
One of, and this is to illustrate everything we've been talking about. I like the fact that the main villain just suddenly dies, and you don't really care. Like there's no build up to it. There's no big moment. It's just like his jaw gets ripped off and he's dead, and that's it. And everything just continues at the same pace.
Yeah.
I like that because it just reinforces everything that the movie was doing. High pace, quick action, keep the train rolling for as long as you possibly can. So when the main villain dies, normally in an action movie, it's a big scene.
Oh yeah, he's gonna
all
fall
sorts of
off the building.
Yeah. or it's some sort of big moment in the film. And this one it was like, nope, he's dead, and we're still going.
Well,
okay.
Nobody paused to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
paused to emotionally grapple with it.
Yeah, and I thought that was excellent. Totally fitting for the movie. It worked so well.
They didn't have a lot of time to emotionally grapple with anything, to be fair.
Yeah, and let's be honest. A lot of them were not emotional grabbers anyway.
This is true. Good point.
So I just have a lot of love. This is a movie I've probably seen about 6 or 7 times now. It's one of those Saturday night, I'm feeling a little tipsy, I just want something that's fun. We'll happily put this on, no problem.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah. Alright, anything else?
Nothing for me.
So,
no,
yeah.
I think we're good.
Let's move on to Spotlight. Spotlight, directed by Tom
Room?
McCart. What?
Room
We're doing
next?
a
Oh, Room,
alphabetically.
sure, we can do Room.
You usually do the mouth back.
I know, I messed up. It's on.
Okay. Alright.
Let's do Room, directed by Lenny Abrahamson, written by Emma Donoghue, based on her 2010 novel. Stars Brie Larson, Jacob Tremblay, Joan Allen, Sean Bridgers, Tom McCamus, and William H. Macy. Nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actress, Adapted Screenplay, and it did win Brie her Oscar.
Yep.
Go some stuff.
Alright, so the summary is a little boy is held captive in a room with his mother since birth, so he has never known the world outside.
That's the first half of the
That's
movie.
very minimal, exactly.
Right.
Yes, and it does not capture the second half of the movie.
Right.
For fun facts, number one, I'm assuming this is not a movie you put on a Saturday night when you're feeling tipsy and just want to have fun. So interestingly, she goes back to her bedroom that theoretically hasn't changed since she left. Leonardo DiCaprio is a poster on her wall. On Oscar night, he won Best Actor while she won Best Actress for this movie. So I thought that was interesting. And then the 3 finalists for the movie, the other 3 finalists were Rooney Mara,
Yep.
Emma Watson, and Shailene Woodley.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what those were for?
What do you mean?
Which films they were nominated?
No, I'm sorry. The 3 finalists for this role I spoke
Oh,
not
they
for the
almost
Best
cast
Actor.
them.
They almost
Oh,
cast them in this
yeah.
role. Yeah. I could see a few of them. I couldn't see Emma Watson.
No.
I could see the other 2 actually,
I
but I
could
think
see
Brie
Shailene
Larson
Woodley
did a
in
great.
that
Yeah,
I think Shailene is the only other one I can really see being able to pull it off, but it would still be a different movie. She has a different sensibility.
agree.
And I thought Brie was perfectly cast for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Did you have anything else? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump on it.
Nope. All done.
So one of the things that you and I talk about a lot are information dumps and whether they're necessary. Just that here's a bunch of stuff that you need to know. Sometimes they work. 90% of the time they don't. I did think it was very clever in this one that the information that you're asking yourself as an audience member, has she tried to escape before? Why hasn't she done this? Why hasn't she done that? You get that information as she's talking to her son, because the son either asks the question or asks something that information then becomes relevant. So the information dumps that they did in this, I thought were very well handled, and that's kind of hard to pull off.
Yeah, I
I'm gonna
completely
start
agree.
there.
I completely agree with that. I think the thing, first of all, I do like this movie very much, and I think mostly because of the performances and because of the way they share information. The thing I struggle a little bit, where I think it struggles, is the perspective between the boy and Ma. Is this her movie? Is this his movie?
Yeah, okay.
It's very much his movie, which you find especially in the back half when she disappears for quite a while,
Right.
and you see how he's coping with the world and understanding the world, but at the beginning it seems like it's her movie, and I don't think they know whose movie they want it to be. That's the only part that I struggle with a little bit, but I do like the way they share information, and they don't share too much information, because for instance, I love William H. Macy in this movie because, she's coming back to her world and she's found out that her parents are divorced and her mother's either remarried or repartnered with somebody else. And you also see that William H. Macy can't handle the fact of what's happened to her and the fact that she has a child. So you almost can see, is that what happened when she was taken? He was too weak to handle that situation. And so this friend of the family was able to step in and be strong for her mother. And so it's wonderful that they don't tell you what happened, then they don't have to. You kind of make all of the right assumptions. So I think they give you exactly the right amount of information at exactly the right time.
It is a lot of showing, not telling. You get the sense that that mom's new partner, again, I agree with that. I don't know if they're married or not, but that he is inherently just a good, caring person,
Mm-hmm.
and it's never told to you. He never. There's no exposition where he's just going on and on to kind of prove it. He does it through his actions, particularly. And you're right. The juxtaposition between his character and William H. Macy's character. William H. Macy cannot look at the son because he understands how that person came to be, and he just can't get past it. Whereas the new partner engages and understands what that child needs. No direct confrontations, no, it'll be okay. He just needs to be engaged. So he does those things where like, boy, I really like to go and make something in the kitchen for dinner because I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah.
Really could use some help. And he's obviously talking to the child. The two of them play off each other so well. But again, it is a show, don't tell.
Yeah, exactly. What are your thoughts?
All right, so I watched this in the theater when it came out, and I loved it, and I haven't seen it since, and I only actually got to rewatch kind of the first act, where it's this kind of,
When they're in the room.
where, it kind of moves from this weird, you're in this environment, and you've built this world, and then it's the escape thriller, which is probably only 15 minutes of the movie, and then they have to come back to the real world, and I absolutely loved it. I think it's a very candid movie. It doesn't
shy away from anything.
It looks at everything with a very straight lens and doesn't make. And we'll talk about this with Spotlight. I think movies that deal with this is based on a novel. It's not reality, but when you're dealing with hard matter that is
But there are situations
grounded,
like this. Yeah.
I don't want it to be cinematic at all. So this is kind of like a pretty almost verite style shooting. The acting is very real. I love Brie Larson's performance as just kind of an exhausted mother, especially at the beginning. It was just like, this is our life.
Yeah.
Can you stop yelling about the birthday cake?
Exactly.
And she really brings that element to it.
She did great.
Everything is presented, you're correct, in a very matter of fact, this is the way things are.
Yeah.
And I think particularly in the first half of the movie, when you're in the room for so long, that is done with intent and purpose.
Yep.
Because we find that it's his 5th birthday, I believe.
Yep.
And so she's been there for over 5 years.
Right.
She has obviously had to accept the reality of her situation.
Yes.
So we as the audience also have to accept the reality of the situation.
Right.
And I think that's done with 100% intent and purpose. She's not questioning this anymore. Eventually, of course, she does, and they are able to escape. But her acceptance of it is also the audience's acceptance of it and the presentation of it. So I think that was done 100% intentionally.
Right. You don't even know, per se, until maybe 10 minutes in what exactly is
When
happening.
you're watching.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would like to go, again, back to the title of Room. It's not the room. Room is a
Right.
proper noun.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
room is a thing. It's
Yeah.
an existence. It is a character. Just like window and
TV,
wardrobe
yeah.
and TV and chair.
Yeah.
These are proper nouns in his world.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really interesting too the way he had to go say goodbye to them and had to have closure where she wanted nothing to do with that.
Right.
I did have one challenge with the plot, with the storyline, is why I don't think she expected to live. I think she was hoping that she was sending her child away, but like when she said something, he said something like, "I'll see you," and you saw her like stop and take a breath, and she's like, I don't think she expected to live, and
Right.
I'm curious as to why she did. Like the guy in the pickup truck, why didn't he go back and kill her, or at least grab her and take her somewhere else, or get rid of the evidence? And I was surprised.
No, I think we're used to, I think that is more realistic.
Yeah.
I think we're used to movie villains who have this godlike intelligence, who, if it were Hannibal Lecter, he would just be there, In a more dramatized movie, in a more stylized movie, there'd be a chase sequence and he would be able to catch up to her. But I think what you see of old Nick is, these kinds of people, these sick, horrible people who do things like this, are idiots.
He's just a creepy guy.
Serial killers are stupid.
Yeah.
They're cunning, but he got really lucky that he was able to confine this woman for as long as he did.
Yeah.
There's a reason there aren't many stories about this in the real world. So his luck kind of runs out.
Yeah,
Like, I
fair.
totally am willing to
He might have
accept
just
that.
escaped and made a run for it.
Yep.
I'll agree with you because what we do see of him, he's more reactive. He's not an intelligent, thoughtful person at
Right.
all. He just reacts to any time she questions, and we can see that she's learned not to question often at all.
Fair.
But he is not a smart person.
No.
He is trusting now that because it's been going on for so long that she is broken enough that he doesn't have to worry about those things, except for of course keeping the door locked and that. But you're right. We do not see him as a smart person at all.
Fair.
Yeah,
Okay.
and like the grocery store version of this, yeah, there'd be more of a cat and mouse element to it. And this is, if you read this brand of true crime, like this is kind of what happens.
Yeah.
Guys who get away with killing tens of people, then you read about how they get caught, and it's always something like
Yeah,
this.
something simple.
Yeah.
So one thing I would like to talk about and get your thoughts on, because as always I kind of do some Reddit things to see what other people are thinking about the movie. And this is two very different and distinct movies. There's the first part and then there's the second part. The first part is of course learning of what the situation is and her trauma and what she has to do to keep this situation seem normal to a small child. And then the second part is the two of them being able to adapt, and they both adapt in very, very different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a very sudden narrative kind of shift to go from one to the other. I personally think the movie handles it very, very well. It's not shifting like that. There is a definite transition you go through when she first comes back in the hospital and all of that. So I think the movie does a good job of shifting you into that second without it being so abrupt.
Yes.
Although some people say that it does feel abrupt.
I think it purposely does though, because I think that when they both make their they come into the real world, it looks like she's doing a great job and she's just so happy to see her parents and she's happy to be at the house and all is great with her, and then you realize that it's all hiding behind all of the trauma that she's actually experienced, whereas he's having the most difficult time that he's showing, and that you could see him adapting better in the long run. So I really liked the fact that both of them seemed to adapt in different ways, but it was actually just hiding what was under the surface.
Okay.
I think the mundanity of it is the through line. So that's what keeps the tone. Like, you're in room because you're in room. That's the world they exist in. And then they go back to this kind of banal middle class existence where everyone's trying to keep up appearances. But it's the same movie tonally.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think the theme is kind of the same. It's like, how much better off are they really in their new reality? They have a whole new world of struggles to kind of.
Oh, see, I disagree completely. I think that it's.
I mean, obviously they're better off because they're not.
Exactly, yeah. Definitely they have challenges, but I think that it shows like they have people that care for them and that are trying to make it better and don't know how.
Right.
I think the intent of the movie is to get to the second part. You need the first part to understand the trauma and her acceptance of it, what the child was able to go through. Because again, it's a 5-year-old. They don't know any different. This is their existence. It has been.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to compare to.
Right.
But you need all of that to be able to get to what I think they're really trying to tell, which is the second part of how do people deal with trauma and differently. And the two very different ways, like you mentioned, that they're dealing with the trauma of being in that room for so long. You need the first part. Without that, the second part would not work.
The only
Right.
argument I could make for it being jarring maybe is that you have that kind of little miniature act where they're escaping, which is very tense and like.
That was very scary.
Maybe you could maybe argue that if they'd staged that less thrillingly, it would be more. It would be less jarring. It's jarring that you're like in room, and then you have this escape, and that's dramatic, and then you go back to this kind of like.
I did think it was also very movie-like that they were able to find the garden shed from the policewoman questioning the little boy. First of all, they would have
That's
gotten
the
the boy.
most movie-like thing in the movie.
They would have
for
gotten the
sure.
boy to the hospital immediately.
Yep.
They wouldn't have questioned him in that way.
Yep.
They wouldn't have figured out as easily as they did. So I thought that was a little bit of a movie, like easy trick.
Yeah, the friendly, good-natured, highly intelligent police officer coming in to save the day was a little tropey. But
Let's look for a garden shed with a skylight that's 3 turns from a stop sign.
Oh, that's
It's
like-
that's a little much. Yeah.
Right, yeah, that is the most fictionalized feeling part of it. Obviously, it's a work of fiction throughout.
Yeah. But extraordinary performances.
Yeah.
The little boy was extraordinary, and Brie Larson was great as well.
And with the performances themselves, everybody, as you like to say, knew their assignment. Nobody was over the top unless they needed to be over the top. And let's give credit to the kid. We talked about
Great.
with Beasts of a Southern Nation, was that child actor actually acting or not?
Yeah.
In this case, this child had to go through such range of emotions, 100% acting, no denying it, and was amazing.
Yeah.
Completely agree. Yeah. I wonder if they were not up for Best Supporting, were they?
No.
Okay.
All right, I have nothing else for room.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Move on to our final Spotlight. Spotlight, directed by Tom McCarthy, written by McCarthy and Josh Singer. Stars Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams, John Slattery, Stanley Tucci, Brian D'Arcy, James, Liv Schreiber, and Billy Crudup. Nominated for Picture, Director, Supporting Actor for Ruffalo, Supporting Actors for McAdams, Original Screenplay, and Film Editing. Won for Screenplay, and it did win Best Picture. That some stuff.
All right, so this is the true story of how the Boston Globe uncovered the massive scandal of child molestation and cover-up within the local Catholic archdiocese, shaking the entire Catholic Church to its core.
Yes.
Fair enough. Couple of fun facts is, not a lot of fun facts surrounding this movie, shockingly enough. But a couple of fun facts are that the actual Spotlight reporters are in the scene with at Fenway. Yep, they're sitting behind the actors, which is very cool. And also, one of the biggest supporters of this movie was the Catholic Church. They actually said that the actions of the Boston Globe helped bring the crisis to light, and that they supported the Spotlight, and they brought it to the attention of the leadership that needed to actually do something about it. So, PR, yes, probably.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's a good PR marketing move, but also a surprising one, because they didn't have to say anything. So, all right. What are your thoughts?
So, I'm going to come out with something, again, doing some research, seeing what other people are saying. One of the criticisms of this movie, I think, is actually its strength, me personally.
Okay.
And that is that the reporters who are reporting on this, the group that are reporting on it, particularly when they're talking with the people who have gone through this trauma, they are so desensitized and insensitive to the trauma of the person that they're speaking with, because they're reporters. They're just looking for the information, give me the facts.
Totally.
And I personally thought that was a good thing for the movie, because it illustrated the kind of people that they were. If they were hand-holding through the entire process, which I think in lesser hands they probably might have done, it would detract from the story itself. But that's me taking a swing at some of the things people have said out there. I'm curious as to your thoughts.
I agree. I think that they were actual reporters, which is they can't be involved in the story to too much of a degree, and they have to be as objective as possible. So I thought it did a really good job of that.
I think it's a question of degree. I agree with you. I didn't buy that they were all that same wavelength. Like, every time Rachel McAdams sits down with someone's like, so who are you? What do you, who is, what do you, like, everyone is just hard-nosed and direct. And
her and Mark in particular were the two that were like that.
But I'd like to think, and this is, my main thing with this movie is I would rather just watch a documentary on the topic. But they were all kind of hard-nosed and just super direct and, tell me the facts, with everyone,
Yeah.
So it kind of seemed one note, maybe they were like that.
I really like this movie. I'm gonna differ a little bit. I really like this movie because it did remind me of All the President's Men. They took something that could have been complicated, could have been kind of a lot of. It was complicated, and it was a lot of different players, and they were able to weave that into a really intelligent story. And I think the best thing that they did was give the outline of Boston and how important the Catholic Church was to Boston, and how important the Catholic Church was not just to the community, it was important to the community, to the paper, to the people, And like every single person had a connection to the church, and if you were taking down the church, it's not going to be popular. And so I think that's something that maybe you couldn't see in a documentary without seeing those familial connections to
Doors
it.
slammed in your face.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Taking Nana to church every day.
Who's ringing?
Oh, never mind. Sorry.
No worries. You're absolutely right, and that is one of the notes that I put as well, is that the attitude towards the church in Boston was perfectly displayed. Both the resistance, also in certain points being kind of cowardly to not step up to such a massive thing, and that in and of itself becomes a character in the film, just the Catholic Church looming over everything. Because they are constantly reminded, and everybody's constantly telling them, if you're going after their church, you make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed, you have to be perfect, you cannot get anything wrong. And we're not saying don't do it, we're just saying be super.
They have a lot of resources.
Yeah.
Yes, very fair.
Yeah.
But you're right, and the reactions to that, we all know, we've all spent time in Boston, we know people from the area, that the Catholic Church is a very big thing for the Boston area, and you have your diehards that will never even question, even when presented with evidence, be like, no, the church would never do something like this because. So I thought that aspect of this was handled beautifully as they were slowly unpeeling the onion.
Yeah, you're right. That's something that we wouldn't be able to portray quite so vividly if it were just a documentary.
Let's also talk about the investigation, because this is an investigative movie, much like All the President's Men. And we've talked about a lot of those kind of movies. Sometimes the information is given to you too quickly, or it's like you're not given enough, and then it's like an information dump to be able to move on to the next one. I thought the way that we started to understand this, and this was recent enough that we remember all of this happening, but the way that they gave us the information, it started out as just like maybe one or two, maybe there were 3 or 4, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And the way you're given the information as they discover it, I thought was the perfect pace to the film itself.
I completely agree with you, and I also think that, I mean, like, yes, we know people in Boston, but also, like, they're talking about these priests being sent to Cheverus, and Portland, Maine Portland, Maine was one of the
that totally raised an eyebrow for me.
Congregations that they had looked at where, priests had been, so it was not that far removed from us, and we do remember it all, and I like the way that not only was it the onion unpeeled in a nice level way, but they also went back and said, we had some of this. We should have done more. We had all this information at one point and didn't ask the right questions back then.
Even Billy Crudup's character, who for the first part of it you're just thinking is like just a smarmy lawyer kind of guy.
Because he's Billy Crudup, exactly.
But then you find out, towards the movie's end, that he's like, I tried to give this to you 20 years ago. Like when I had this information and you guys did nothing with it, and now you're mad at me. Like that? No, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, buddy.
What'd you think of the movie?
So everybody is not fully. They're people. They have multiple layers to them. Nobody is just super one-notey kind of things.
Nope, totally agree. Let's see. Oh shoot, there was one more thing and it's gone from my head that I was going to say about this. What else do you guys have to say?
My hot take, I thought Rachel McAdam and Mark Ruffalo were very bad in this movie.
I thought they were...
Ruffalo is mugging the entire time.
He was a little over the top.
He's kind of like... And he's acting, and I think she just didn't have that much... She wasn't given that much, but I also think she was in way over her head. It's like, you go back to your rom-com, like, you aren't hacking it. Keaton's amazing.
I love Rachel McAdam. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
Keaton, this is one of the few movies set in Boston where they had appropriate Boston accents.
Yeah.
Yes, that is amazing. Because not everyone was doing like Pocky Cat and Have It.
Exactly. They weren't doing Mayor Quimby anymore.
Right.
So I thought that was really good. Was the way that they actually had a real live. This is how people in Boston actually sound. So I did like that a lot. I thought Rachel McAdams was fine, and she's not just a rom-com actress.
She's
back off.
She's out of her depth.
She's
in this
wonderful.
one.
But also, I did think Mark Ruffalo was playing like just before he turned into the Incredible Hulk.
Yes, that's
In a
exactly
couple
what
of
it felt like.
scenes.
He was
Yeah.
hulking out.
Yeah.
But obviously Tucci's amazing.
Tucci's amazing.
Keaton's amazing, and John Slattery's John Slattery. He's always gonna kind
Love him.
of be his character in Mad Men, but he does that well. Who else? Oh, Liev Schreiber does so much in this movie with so little.
Agreed.
Very little.
Like his
Agreed.
presence, that is a thankless role, and I think he actually. I love
Yeah.
utility players, and I love character actors, and I love thankless roles. So I particularly loved his performance because he comes in and they're like, "Oh, how much is he going to rock the boat? Is he just a numbers guy?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, I am a man of quiet integrity."
And thoughtfulness.
Yeah.
That,
You.
while accurate, I also thought that was an interesting choice to kind of play up because
Mhm.
the globe itself is going through this transition.
Yes.
These people, this investigative unit, are now going through a transition. Will they still even be there? Will they not be there? What kind of support are they going to get from the new regime?
Mhm.
So to throw that on and be able to pull that off
Yeah.
is quite
I gotta
Quite
really
difficult.
appreciate that
Yeah.
element of the movie.
like
Yeah.
just that little added thing does give the overall movie just a little bit more depth to it. They didn't have to go through any of that. You didn't even need necessarily his character to tell this story that they were telling.
No.
But the addition of it did give it depth that was not there previously,
Yeah.
and that enhanced the movie overall.
The movie does a good job of incorporating those kinds of things too. The impact of September 11th, I think they do a really good job of just being like, yeah, we gotta
It's
back
just
off.
it's
you
just
know?
one more thing
Yeah.
that keeps them from telling that story.
Right.
You talk a lot about the beginnings of movies.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say about this movie is I didn't care for the beginning scenes, like, you know, back in 1975, and I didn't think that really added a lot
No.
to the movie. And then the end of the movie just felt very
It
anticlimactic.
did just kind of end. It's like,
Yeah,
here's an
just like-
epilogue.
Yep, the end.
That
Here's a
what?
list of all the bad priests.
Right.
Done.
Here's
Yeah.
a list
Here's
of that.
every city in the world.
Yeah.
And we were talking about this earlier, but that list that they show of where they all kind of went to, where they were doing, you know, like whack-a-mole priest,
Yeah.
how to priest, which was super quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to pause it if you want to be able to read them all.
And
Yeah.
then, of course, they're like, the law, cardinal law, they're like, he left his job in Boston, but now he's in the Vatican.
Yeah.
So it's like, he kind of failed upward.
Yeah. They protected. They still
Yeah.
are protecting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. The beginning and the end were
Not
kind of
the best part.
unnecessary.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the story itself is immaculately done.
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
And I use that word intentionally.
Yes.
Immaculate. I like that.
I have nothing else for this.
I'm good.
Okay. So at this point, we typically would decide on if any of these movies get moved forward for our final for the next one. And I will start and say I would move all three of these forward, except for Bridge of Spies.
I agree. I can agree with that. I think definitely Fury Road. I think Room, and I love the middle of Spotlight. Like never mind the first 5 and last 5 minutes of Spotlight. So I would agree with that.
Okay.
Thoughts?
And you can pick all four if
You
you
can pick
want.
all
if you
4.
want.
You can pick
Okay.
1. You can pick none.
I'm
Our
gonna s-
goal is to by the next podcast get down to 5 or less to 2.
Then you choose the one that should have won.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
then you talk about what did win. All right. I'm going to just go with Mad Max and Room.
Okay.
Spotlight was ultimately for me less than the sum of its parts, but I had really high expectations for it because it's a procedural. It's going after the Catholic Church. it's about Boston. Like it's about the banality of evil, which I'm like really interested in. It's about all these systems and the media, and it
didn't
kind
quite
of
get
was
there.
like. I'm gonna go so far as to say it was a slightly up-jumped made-for-TV movie.
Okay.
Right. You would be wrong in saying that, but okay. You can say that.
What'll be interesting is the next one. We have a similar movie, The Big Short, but that tackles finances instead.
Right.
And
Right.
comparing the way the information is being handled and the story that's being told, just those two in particular.
That's interesting, actually. So for next time, we have Revenant, Martian, Big Short, and Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I would say like Brooklyn is much like The Room in a very much smaller movie.
Yep.
And Big Short is like Spotlight. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we think for next time.
All right. As always, leave your comments. Tell us what you think. Thank you very much to our special guest.
All right.
Thank you very much.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Take care.